Okay, here are my thoughts on the new Looney Tunes movie, The Day the Earth Blew Up. I don't think I'm gonna be getting into spoilers, not major ones at least. So, yeah, let's just get into it. This is a pretty iconic pairing, once again, of Daffy and Porky going out on some cool adventures, I guess. The main plot of the movie is a UFO crash lands through the roof of their house, and it's up to Daffy and Porky to figure out where it came from. They need to fix the roof of their house, and a lot of other things happen. That's the majority of the movie. That's the heart of the movie. First off, this movie has 10 writers, and it definitely feels like there's a lot going on. When you have, I don't know, when you have like, if you've, when there's usually 2 or 3 people like writing for a movie. To qualify like for the Oscars, you need 4 max. Beyond that, it makes sense because it starts to become someone else's project, and then 10 minutes later it's another movie, and then 10 minutes later it's someone else's movie. So this movie is kind of feels like a victim of that. To start off though, the chemistry, like the main cast, Daffy, Porky themselves are perfect. They get along really good together. There's a lot of good chemistry of Porky being the straight guy and Daffy being this over-the-top, impulsive type of guy. And, you know, it's overall very nice to see them together again. I will say very strong first like 20 minutes, like 15-20 minutes, because the UFO crashes, they need to repair the roof, and they need to find jobs. It kicks off into a sequence, like a montage of them looking for jobs. They try to be plumbers, and then like things, and then the toilet explodes. Like it's that type of like, you know, slapstick humor. Very funny. Although the joke of like of them becoming Instagram models and then they show Daffy twerking. Pretty bad. Not very fun. To even see that animated was quite jarring. I really liked that whole first leg of the movie. The Farmer Jim stuff was weird, but it was funny. It was funny, especially the part where he's like this 3D like 3D shaded painting, but he's like moving as this like JPEG picture format, and he's moving like every 2 frames. So like the animation is different from like Daffy and Porky, who can just move however. That was funny. That was funny. But then there are other sequences. There are some jokes in here and some parts that don't really hit as hard and come off as kind of weird. There's one part, another montage where they end up getting jobs at this gum factory, and you know, Daffy's on the lever, and then Porky has to just push this button, the gum spits out, and then Daffy presses down on the gum, and then that's this whole sequence. It then, after that, gets into this very long sequence. I guess it wasn't that long, but it comes out of nowhere. You know, they're getting used to the machine, how it works. I push the button, you pull the crank. I push the button, you pull the crank. And then it goes into this sort of musical number. They're not singing, so it's more of like the orchestra just goes off into this big number, and the animation changes entirely. Like when Dumbo was like tripping balls on yeah, that's the vibe. It's very beautifully animated. And I think that's the main thing about this movie that it has going for it. The animation is very, very well done. I wasn't expecting, I didn't really have high hopes for it because I don't think there's a whole lot of people like lined up to the theaters to go and see a Looney Tunes movie, like a movie, as opposed to seeing it on TV or something like that. Instead, I was pleasantly surprised by how good it looked. I think Daffy especially has like these very crazy like facial expressions, and he's doing weird stuff with his body and doing flips and cartwheels, and his head blows up and stuff like that. Seeing him move around, and also the performance of Eric Bauza, who is voicing him, very, very good on Daffy's end. He's given 100%. So the animation it's very well done, and that's one of the best parts of the movie. But there's some sequences that I don't think were very necessary. I think it would have been fine. There's also this new addition to the cast, Petunia, and she is like the love interest of Porky. And yeah, I mean, they come across as, a very cute couple. Porky's like this very like nervous and like cowardly, squeamish, and Petunia kind of brings it out of him a little bit. And the two parts of where they're like standing next to each other, I think that's very sweet. Petunia is like this scientist, and she has all these wacky devices. She like tests it on Daffy and Porky, and it comes off as like some pretty good gags. I think the villain is pretty good, and standard like evil alien, I want to conquer over the world, that type. They do kind of the cliche like evil laugh, like ah ha 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 where he clears his throat and stuff. They do that. He doesn't overstay his welcome. Every scene that he's in, it doesn't feel like he's like hamming it in entirely. Like he's placed very efficiently in the movie. Whenever you see him, you're getting new information, and it's not just because it always feels like it's important. I think the one thing that would have helped this movie was, I don't think I vibe with this version of Daffy. So there's like two versions, where there's this super wacky one that's like a Bob Clampett style in the way that he directed those old shorts. And then there's the Chuck Jones way, where he's less wacky. He's more of like a greedy type, and plays into that in a more realistic way. I think I just prefer that version a little bit better. It made me actually go back to some of the older shorts, the older Looney Tunes shorts, and the one with Bugs and Daffy called Alibaba Bunny. It made me miss that version of Daffy. So I mentioned that there's like multiple things going on because of this movie having a lot of writers, a lot of chefs in the kitchen on this one. A UFO crash lands onto Earth. From that moment on, that could be a movie. And then we have like the Farmer Jim story, where it's like the Daffy Porky origin story. And then we have the Gum Factory, that could be a whole movie. And then Petunia could really have her own movie. And then by the end, I don't want to say too much, but more stuff gets added into the plot, and it feels pretty tiresome by the end of it. When you go to see this movie, if you decide to see this movie, I want you to count how many times they say, I have a plan. I have a plan. I have a plan. I have a plan. They try something, it gets sidetracked. They try something, that gets sidetracked. I have a plan. It happens a lot. It happens so many times in like the last leg of the movie. It's for everyone to have like their hero moment and have their chance to stand out in the movie, but by the end, it's, you know, it's pretty burdensome. They do a good job of keeping the audience engaged in, no, this is the Daffy and Porky story. This is their movie, clearly. And, they do a solid job at that. I think this is a pretty good hangout movie if you just want to have a fun ride for a little bit, for a short hour and a half. Although by the end of it, it did feel it felt a lot longer by the end of the movie. So yeah, I think that's everything I have to say about that movie. And, I'd like to know what you guys thought of it. And let me know what you think. All right, bye-bye.